Yes, thank you. My name is Anders Tangen, and I am CEO for BRANN AB. It's a full-service IP law firm in Sweden, one of the big four there. I'm going to speak about the value and valuation of intellectual property, and I will focus on the patent part of this to sort of limit this. Very short about my own background. I sort of the old man out, I guess, on this conference, because before I joined BRANN, I did not work with IP. I worked at GE Healthcare with product development and business development. Did a lot of strategic planning work, building roadmaps for a business area and so on. And by that way, actually came in contact with valuation of patents. So BRANN AB, full service, as I said, we do patent litigation and prosecution, trademark litigation, prosecution, and we also started now a new business area called BRANN Transactions, and that's where we do this valuation work. I would like to say that as well. So outline for the talk, where's the value in a company, why focus on the value of patents, when is it usually done, patent valuation, some alternative methods for patent valuation, and then at last how to maximize patent value. So where's the value in a company? There are many studies on this, and this is just one. If you go back like 30, 40 years, results would show that about 70% of the value would be in the tangible part, actually, production facilities and so on. While if you go back just to 98 and you did a similar investigation, you would find it was almost the other way around. So the intangible part would have grown actually to 70%. And some say, and many of our clients say today that it actually has probably turned around completely, so it's now 20-80 the other way, so 80% of the value is probably within the intangible part. This says a lot also. I mean, we could probably stand here and discussing this, the consequences of this for an hour, because if you read the management literature from the 50s and 60s and 70s and compare it with today, I really hope we run companies differently today. When you look at this picture and see where the value in the company is. So what are these intangibles? There are many ways to illustrate that, and this is one of them. You can separate them into different areas, like human individual capital, relationship capital, and organizational capital. And if I look at the majority of our customers, they are small and medium-sized enterprises, and they have started up with a few very skilled individuals having a potentially very good idea. And if you're trying to build value in such a company, you need to move very quickly to the other areas here. You want to build customer relations, and you also need to build organizational capital. And therein you find, for example, branding, of course, and patents. And this also has to do with reducing risk. And I always tell a story about that to illustrate the importance of risk. For if you are a venture capitalist, you really want to reduce risk to build value in the company. So when I was employed at a big company previously, we had a relationship with a smaller company, basically with just a handful of co-workers. Most of the competence was in the head of one of their senior scientists, and they did not have many patents at that time, hardly none, and sort of garage company. One day they went out, this CEO of this company had a sailing boat in Malaga, so they went out sailing, and after a couple of hours the CEO got tired and went to sleep, and said to this senior scientist, you take over the wheel and take control of things. He was not a very skilled sailor or a seaman at all, but he realized, okay, it's sunny weather, there's not much wind, I will go for a swim. And after having been swimming for a couple of minutes, he realized that this boat is actually floating away faster than I'm able to swim. So he shouted, and he managed to wake up the CEO and was rescued. But we were very shocked when we heard this story when I came home. And in my world, and also in the view of a venture capitalist, that company was actually just a drowning accident away from zero value. So it sort of illustrates the importance of patents. There are many ways to leave a company. It doesn't have to be like you're dying. Career advisors today, they really give you the advice you should switch jobs. Young people should switch jobs every 5 years, which means also that it's very important that you have something left after them, for example, patents. And why focus on the value of patents? Patents, as we all know, map very well on the definition of sustainable competitive advantage. That is, resources that are valuable, rare, imperfectly imitable, and imperfectly substitutable, if you read Kotler like I do. And I see that in most of our customers' companies, most of the value would be in the patent portfolio, really. These are sort of early phase companies. So when do they do patent valuation? The typical situation is for startup companies that are in need of more capital. They come about this far, and so I think it's human nature. We're always very optimistic about things when we start projects and we start new companies. But things take longer time, and it takes more money than we think to actually bring up and take a product to market and be able to sell it. So that's when they come to a situation where they have not really much sales going on yet. Maybe not any sales at all. And they still want to raise more venture capital. And then they come to people like me and want sort of valuation. And what is their value in the company? It is the individuals and the patents, basically. You also have several situations when if you plan to buy or sell a company or a patent, of course, then you would like to have some sort of evaluation of this. And also, of course, if you're planning to in or out license patents, you could bring this, further on and take it to the extreme that you even, for big corporates, make, milestones decisions made on patent valuation, etc. I've never been in contact with that, really. Maybe that's bringing it a bit far. So what are these alternative methods then for valuation of patents? And I've listed a few of them here. There are plenty of combined methods, and they are listed according to, they're starting with the most simple method, really. Because if you always end up, when you do a patent valuation job, you always end up in discussion in Sweden with the accountant. And accountants in Sweden are really conservative people. And they will basically tell you that, okay, if you spent $1 million to get a patent granted, that's the value of it. And when I worked at GE, we used to joke a bit about that, because I used to call it sort of the Soviet model, because the link to the market was rather, diffuse. So you have to really argue to the accountant. If you are investing 1 million today, there are also income-based methods, and they are really based on if you already have a cash flow due to royalties going on, then of course you can do some valuation on that aspect of the patent where you license it out. But I've never been in that situation either, because truth be told, there aren't that many patents being licensed out. So that situation rarely occurs also. So it's kind of academic. So what I usually end up with is using different cash flow methods, and you have a number of them. So you have these methods where you allow for the time value of money. Basically, it means that 10 million today is probably worth more to you than 10 million in 10 years. You also have some of these methods where you allow for the riskiness of cash flows. And you have those flexible models where you build decision trees, and that's usually where I end up, actually. You get some sort of mixed models, because in the practical situations that I've been into, the information you get is sort of limited, and you have to work with a very limited budget and a limited time. So even if it's possible to do a really good academic valuation, and you can spend months investigating things, you really end up trying to simplify things, and you build scenarios, so you use these mixed models. And it's also possible to use these option pricing theory models, and they are discussed a lot, I think, in the industry, because lots of people think they are not applicable really for patent valuation. When I do this project, I usually go with at least 3 different scenarios and 3 different methods, because this is not exact science, so you would like to sort of attack the problem from a number of different angles. And so I've been using the option price model as well. And what's very special about that is it's extremely sensitive to changes in risk. So that's what's differencing it from the others. So how to maximize IP value, and I think with this audience, I don't have to go into details there, but I think you would all be surprised if you went out there and met clients and saw how often there's no alignment really between where the company has a product and is doing sales and where their IP is. That can be a rather shocking experience if you visit one of your clients as a patent attorney. So it's very frequent that the business is over here and the protection is here due to a number of reasons. So we always tell our customers to align their efforts in marketing, R&D, and IP. Make sure you focus on the business, not inventions. We have a lot of inventors falling in love with their inventions, and it's very important to make them think business. And select partners then, of course, who understand these issues, which could be someone like us, who can do both the patent side, the legal side, and the transaction side. There are certainly others. We have experience from all these technology fields, so it's whether it's life science, biotech, medtech, mechanics, or ICT telecom. We've done valuation projects there. We've also written a chapter in a book about this, so if anyone is interested, they can contact me. I can probably send the book. So, thanks for your attention.